pipe pals. Pipe pals and gals. Okay. Old Holy Smoking Pipe Padre. Yes, indeed, it is I. Dear Pfeifenfreunds. Alles klar? Okay. You can try that there. Okay. And I'm going to try and talk to that little green dot there. I think that's a little Apple update there. Going to remind you that that's where the camera's at. So I'm going to try that. Okay, so here I am on this, well, it's not May Day. Ooh. 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 And let me just do some shout outs here real quick. First shout out, let me just say again to Matthew and for his wonderful gifts of the North Woods. But I'm not smoking North Woods tonight. No Deer Pipe House. I'm not. No. And this wonderful little pipe tamper. It's really nice. I really love this little guy. Little antler there. A little bit. Antler tamper. And I'm using it to inaugurate this wonderful little, I guess, called a reverse calabash, an Al Pacino. I think that's what this is. Cute little thing. Golly, look how cute that is. That is just, I'm telling you what, if that was any cuter, it'd be against the law. I'm telling you, awesome. And I'm just smoking it, I just fired it up about 15 minutes ago, maybe not even that. And I am smoking this small batch, I love a small batch, from Cornell and Diehl. Red Flake, Carolina Red Flake with Perique. And let me just tell you, this has been haunting me for the last 2 weeks. Perique, yeah, spicy. And again, I'm smoking in this wonderful little thoughtful gift from my friend Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. And also to you, Matthew, over there. Yeah, I see you over there. I see her hiding over there. But anyway, this is just a great little pipe called Reverse Calabash, I guess he called it. And I've been wanting to try this spicy Perique for, like I said, a couple weeks now. I've been, well, we've been busy with so many things in the parish here. Oh, I'm also drinking some. This is a Coke coffee blend, sugar-free. Yeah, that's good. It's good. I like it a lot. But I've been wanting to try this pipe and this delicious tobacco for the last couple of weeks. I also have an old boy here. And so it's been a while, just kind of waiting, patiently waiting. And I gotta say, so far, it was worth the wait. I've never had one of these. I know that I think some people call these nose warmers. And now I know why. Because it's pretty close to the old schnoz there. Ah, that's good. Well, it's a beautiful spring evening. The snow is just about completely gone. I saw a couple of little patches as I was driving around this evening. But for the most part, the snow is gone. Now, I noticed there were some darkening clouds over the lake, so I don't know if that's going to be bringing us some rain tonight, later. Now we've been having some earthquakes up here. Wow. I haven't had Perique in a long, long time. I'm probably not going to sleep much tonight because of this my late coffee. I usually do about a 1 o'clock coffee, and then that's it for the day. And I know that when I used to smoke the really richer tobaccos, that certainly would, keep me up late at night. But sometimes, you just have to kind of, take a little bit of time for yourself. I've been so busy with good things, good parish things. We've been doing so much stuff. The good people here, myself, been kind of from putting in new lights to putting in flower barrels and cleaning the place up, and working on getting a new something special for summer months. We're doing something very special for the summer this year. So I don't want to say anything because I know a few people might get word of what we're doing. I mean, most people probably figured it out, but I mean, it's not like a big state secret or anything, But at the same time, we're doing some special things for the parish, and it's exciting because there's just all these projects that are going on now, and we're just kind of going great guns. I tell you, I'm amazed. I am just absolutely amazed and delighted at all the activity and the positive things that are going on. And it just seems like every week we add new ideas and, hey, let's do this, let's do that. And, I know that the last year has been extremely challenging for all of the parishes, to include ours. But it looks like, people are coming back. People are happy. People are excited. So again, I'm just really excited about that. So, but it's a lot of work. You've got every day, you've got, lots of things to do, people to see, meetings, got to call people, got to get contractors lined up. Anyway, the long story short is it's just a lot of work. And it's kind of like painting the Golden Gate Bridge, I think. There's always going to be something that you can be turning your hands to fix or make better, or, come up with new ideas. And so it's exciting. It's kind of, I don't know, just something that I guess being a pastor, sometimes when you're an associate pastor, you basically just do what your pastor tells you, and that's it, Every now and then you might be able to kind of, do a little project that's kind of, your own. You can make it your own, and of course it benefits the parish, but again, it's something that but here, everything is kind of like, if I have an idea and I share it with people and they say, yeah, that's a great idea, let's do it, then we do it. But, there's a few times I'll say, well, what about this? And I'll kind of go, not sure about that one, and I'll go, okay, that's fine too. I mean, again, there's just so many positive things that are going on that I just, say, well, okay, all right, well, maybe we'll do something like that in the future. Maybe we won't do it now, but maybe in the future we'll think about doing it. So again, just all these other little things that are wonderful, and you live up here in a beautiful place. Now, we've had earthquakes the last couple of weeks. No one ever told me about that one. But anyway, when I was in seminary in the Bay Area, there were a couple of really frightening ones, and I'll never forget literally standing in the doorway watching that old 100-year building just go back and forth, and thinking this thing's coming down. It can't last. Oh, it was scary, real scary. Ooh. Anyway, so we had a little shaker a couple weeks ago, and then we had another one just the other night. So we might have even had a broken window as a result of it in our mission church down the road in Squaw Valley. So anyway, so I kind of gone on a little long on that one, but again, a lot of positive things that are going on here, up here in Lake Tahoe, and I just love it, and it's exciting. So there you go. Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. Let me relight my pipe here. Okay, still got my Dunhill, my old Dunhill. I love this thing. So Jeff, before I forget about it, Jeff, thank you again for the great gift. It's kind of got that forest green color, almost like our parish. That's the color of our outdoor parish, actually. And the kind of the reddish, well, it's not reddish wood, but it's you know, yeah, it works. It works. Oh, I forgot to talk to you about a little bit about the Perique here. This is it's a flake, like me, kind of a flaky guy. Cornell and Deal, don't you know? And it's a flake, and oops, little flake there. So it's trying to crawl out of the can. It's alive. It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! Stay back in the can. Sit. Stay. Good tobacco. Okay. So I kind of forgot how to do a flake, so I kind of teased it out a little bit, and then I put it in the old pipe there. So how y'all doing? Life is, as I just got through sharing with you, life's pretty busy for yours truly. So I was going to wish everybody, all the little pipe ladies out there, any little pipe ladies out there, happy Mother's Day. I have to be careful because I was watching a Mark Dice video. Anybody know who Mark Dice is? And apparently, you know, some of the more woke people out there are they're all up in arms because they don't like Mother's Day. It's not inclusive enough or something. I don't know. Crazy stuff. It's kind of I would say funny. It's kind of sad, actually. I mean, although, you know, we did certainly, you know, pray for moms and our grandmoms and foster moms and stepmoms, and it's sad because, you know, actually wishing individual ladies a happy Mother's Day, you kind of take your life into your own hands. They might take offense at that. So you kind of do a general broad sweep, you know, and hope nobody gets offended now. So it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy stuff out there. And sometimes it's nice to have, you know, it's nice to have, you know, meaningful work that you do, and you feel like you're making a little bit of a difference in the lives of other people in a positive way. But if I didn't have that, I think unfortunately, I'd probably be focused on all the negative stuff that's going on all the time, and that's just not good either. Okay, so this little pipe here, it has a really good draw on it, I have to say. I mean, if I was just concentrating on just being mellow with this, yeah, so far, and I have to say, so far, no tongue bite, none to speak of. And it's amazing because I don't smoke that much. You know, I smoke maybe like once a video, maybe twice a month, if that. So I'm always amazed that I don't get like super bad tongue bite. You know, when I was a young guy, long time ago, you know, I was smoking that drugstore tobacco's, and those things were just, you know, they're just like commercialized cigarette tobacco, basically. They were just highly flavored, you know, Borkum Riff, Paladin Black Cherry. I remember that was one of them I liked. What's the other one? There was a nice one. It had a really nice smell to it. It almost had kind of like a little bit of a root beer, now that I think about it. Oh, I forgot what it was. Maybe it'll come back to me. It was in a white little box. Carter, was it Carter? No, but it wasn't Carter Hall. Maybe it was Carter. No, Whitehall. I think they call it Whitehall. Yeah. Anyway, that was interesting. It was very sweet tobacco. Amphora, I never really did get into Amphora. I know some people loved it. In fact, when I started my YouTube channel a number of years ago here, my former pastor, Father Leon, from Poland, he found out I was a pipe smoker. He didn't have any problems with it. Like some guys, when you're in a rectory and you live with other priests, they sometimes go, I don't like that smell that coming from your room. It stinks, or you got a dog and it stinks, So, oh, your dog, or I don't like your dog, and I don't like this about you, so anyway. But he was really cool about it, and he goes, oh, I used to smoke a pipe, And I said, really? He goes, oh, I used to like Amphora. Could you maybe find me some of that? And so I remember going online and ordering some, and I remember trying a bowl, and again, tongue bite, big time. I gave him the rest. I said, oh, here you go. And he goes, don't you want any? I said, oh, I tried some. It was okay. But again, then I was already into the quality tobaccos, the tin tobaccos and the ones from the Tinderbox or the Briar Patch and, Boswell's tobaccos, people like that. So you got the quality stuff that doesn't really give you the tongue bite, but those drugstore blends. And again, I'm not I know some people think I'm a pipe snob. I'm not a pipe snob. No, not at all. Not at all. I don't know where you got that idea. I may look like Sean Connery in his later years, but I'm not a pipe snob, okay? But anyway, it's just you live and learn, That's all it is, and you just say, okay, you find out what works and what's good, and you stick with that. So, but I think a lot of novice pipe smokers that start out, they don't know any better. I didn't know any better for years, And I mean, Borkum Riff, the part of the pipe allure for me. And one of the reasons why I probably have kind of kept up with the old gentleman scholar, Gary, if you're out there, I got your last card letter, and it's on I haven't opened it yet. I was going to actually open it on this video, but I forgot. I just had all these other things. That's one of the things. I have lots of things that are running through my old brain, and I forget 50% of them, if that. So, but listening to people like Gary, who picked up the hobby kind of recently, maybe in the last 5 years or so, and just kind of saying, oh yeah, I remember doing that, or I remember smoking that, or I remember, having a pipe like that, or whatever. And, and it's just a kind of a learning curve, and, that's all it is. And sometimes you just kind of say, okay, this works and this doesn't work. And if I hadn't, to be honest, if I hadn't maybe discovered the YouTube pipe community, I probably would have still been smoking Borkum Riff and feeling like, well, I know you don't like that much, and it was okay. But part of the allure of pipe smoking was the aroma you got when you just opened the tin or the pouch. I mean, those sensational little things they're still there. You can still enjoy probably. I don't know. I haven't gotten a package of Borkum Riff. I remember when I first started. And I like the Amphora. I tried some of those drugstore blends, and I remember just being so disappointed. The Borkum Riff, I remember it didn't even have any smell. It literally looked like somebody had gone out into the back into the summer in Sacramento, pulled up a handful of weeds, put them in a blender, and stuck them in a pouch. I mean, it was terrible. It was disgusting. It was, what is this? It didn't even resemble in any way, shape, or form the Borkum Riff that I remember. When I was a young little pipe smoker, Yeah. So anyway, so then but going on the YouTube pipe channel, I kind of learned, oh, there's a guy, what was it, Deb in the Dam, or the Irish guy, he had some really great videos, and of course our dear Matches 860, of fond memory, God bless him, God rest him. And, lots of people who've just shared their love of the hobby and, from time to time.
the great trombonist, and great musician. He passed away sadly yesterday. And
So anyway, that's my little pipe-tificating, I guess, there, as far as that goes.
And something he did with John Coltrane coming up in the 10 o'clock hour. Up next for you, though, we've got another set to celebrate Mother's Day.
So,
Support from Bootham Jones, a local
hope you're all doing well.
lawyers who enjoy practicing law, feel a responsibility to their employees and community, and who work hard to help clients achieve their business.
You know, it's interesting.
Well, for a time, the
Talking about YouTube, talking about current culture. You know, it's interesting because I don't consider myself a real historian, but I love history.
possibly taking after his mother. We are going to hear from the whole family.
And I believed, and I still believe to some extent, that if we don't remember our history, we're bound to repeat it. And so I always was trying to learn lessons from history and then apply them to current events. But one of the things that I think I'm seeing is that we're all just saturated with nothing but current events. In other words, that seems to be the coin of the realm. It's like, if it's not current, it's not relevant anymore. And I really have to stop and say, wait a minute, that's just not true. That is not true. That's a recipe for disaster. Now, again, you can. I think the allure of YouTube is it's like kind of like this. It's fresh. It's in the can. It's how long does it stay fresh in the can? The shelf life of a YouTube video is probably about 48 hours. And then it goes into history. It goes into the bin, whatever. And maybe a few people might go back and watch a few of your videos, but for the most part, it's like a McDonald's Big Mac. You're just supposed to eat it now. Because you can't save it. Well, I guess you can at your own leisure. I don't know, but we're hooked on the current immediate stuff, and 99.9 of this stuff, it has no real lasting value. Unless you had, and there was a few people that really did some really creative things. And I'm sure there's still lots of people that do lots of creative videos, whether it's the pipe videos or whatever. There's people out there that do some really creative stuff. And some of their stuff probably will be interesting and entertaining years from now. But, making a current video like this, a few of you watch them and you go, oh, there's the old Padre. Hey, Padre, how's it going? And that's great. Sometimes people say hi and, every now and then I get a phone call from one of y'all and just want to talk, and that's fine too, and or a text or something, and that's always nice, But for the most part, this is just more of a social interaction thing. It's just we're just talking about whatever, and most of it, like I said, is just very transitory. It's just kind of like just like talking to somebody in the store. Doesn't have a lot of meaning to it, I guess. I could be wrong, but that's the way I see it. And the problem is, though, we're so focused and we're so addicted to the what's current right now, what's going on right now. I mean, that's my unfortunately that's the hook that gets me, and keeps me stuck in YouTube land. I'm always like, well, what's this? And I have people that I follow. And I'll kind of like go, what are they up to now? What are they doing today? What are they doing right now? What was their latest video? And that's okay. I think that's part of our culture right now. I don't know if that's going to last, where people are going to be like intrigued by what's going on, and they're just, what's the latest video? What's the latest thing? That's like with Apple. Oh, by the way, I'm happy to say it's May. It's May the 9th right now. And by the time you watch this, it'll probably be May the 10th. And I haven't bought a single Apple product this year so far. And I'm so excited about that I think I'm going to really I got a really good start on this thing. And every year I kept saying, one of my resolutions was to give up not only fast food, but Apple products for a year, just for a year. And so far, I haven't bought any new Apple products. And you know, there's a lot of quote unquote, maybe, do I want to say technical temptation out there to buy the new M1 Max? The new iPads and all that stuff. And I only saw one thing that I might really be interested in. That's the new Apple Watch. But they say this every year. Oh, it's going to have a glucometer on it so you can read your blood sugar levels. They've been promising that for the last 5 years. I don't know how. I think that's just smoke and mirrors. Now, I'll believe it when I see it. And would I get one of those? Probably I would get one of those. Yeah. If they actually had a true, accurate glucometer on the iPhone, on the Apple Watch, or did I say iWatch? Apple Watch, Apple Watch, okay? Yeah, and I love it. And I use this thing all the time. Now, I have to tell you, I never used to wear a watch. I only wore a watch in the military. And I just don't, for the most part, I really don't like the feel of the thing. I've grown accustomed to it, and but there are times when I don't wear it, I kind of feel nice. I don't like wearing all this stuff. But I use it now because they have a new update. And when you have to put the old mask on, if you have your Apple Watch, you don't have to sit there and type in your password every time so it recognizes your mask face. You can just, it's kind of a nice thing, because when I am in the store and I want to know what's my grocery list, or I get a text from somebody and I'm waiting for some answer or something, what are they saying? I got to stop putting the doggone code in, so it recognizes who I am because of the mask. But now if you got the Apple Watch, you don't have to do that. You just normal. You're just normal with it. So there's some benefits to this, and it opens up your computer, so you don't have to type in your password all the time. Same thing. But anyway, I think I shared with you one of the last few videos about I was pretty disappointed with the fact that Apple kind of kills off some of the really nice products. And it's just like, why don't they service those? Why don't they, especially when they're like maybe 2 or 3 years old. And I just feel I feel a little bit abandoned by that. I know it's a technology company, they don't care. But at the same time, you do invest, if you're an Apple person like me, an Apple sheep like me, you invest a lot of money. And so this year it's been like, okay, I'm just going to refurbish the ones that I have, kind of keep them going. And but the new M1 Max, I think that's been a lot more hype than anything. Because I hate to say this, but when I do kind of buy into their hype, and I go in and I buy the newest and latest and greatest, and I bring it home and I open it up, and for a couple of days it's like, wow, this is cool, this is great, I love it. But it's not quite the same like it used to be. There were times where you could say, wow, this does a lot of really cool stuff. Well, they still do the cool stuff that you remember from years ago, and they still do that, and they do it maybe a little bit better, a little bit faster. But for the most part, it's just incremental. It's not really big innovation stuff anymore. And and then plus when they stop discontinuing something that you really have grown fond of, that you really do use a lot, and I use most of the products that I have. But when they discontinued the HomePod, they discontinued my iMac Pro, they discontinued the Mac Pro 13. They could have kept some of those products going for another 2 or 3 years easily. Now I know what they're doing is that they're re-ramping their chipset stuff, and so they kind of wanted to make everything now, congruent with the new chipset architecture and the new design architecture. That's how they kind of keep you buying the new stuff every year. So this year I've been able to kind of say, I think I'm going to just not buy into it. And so I've been watching all these people online, and they're salivating about the M1 Max and all that. And I'm just like, well, I know what would happen. I go out and buy the new M1 MacBook Pro, whatever it is, or the new colored iMacs, I need a really good Xeon machine that does really good processing, because I do these videos. So I know I'd get it home, and it would probably be just a wee bit faster, but that's about it. I mean, there'd be an incremental change, and it would be maybe noticeable, but it's not really going to be like super lickety, like, taking, this will be like a 45-minute, 50-minute video, right? And to process this video probably takes about, maybe 10 minutes, which is great, which is awesome. On my 13 MacBook, on my 13 Mac Pro, it'd probably take about an hour. I know that. I mean, that's what it was even years ago when I still had it, when I was still using it at ODS. But anyway, so I guess I'm just kind of just not buying into all the hype, saving some money. Although it is kind of a little bit of a tax write-off for me, so I might have to actually pay more in taxes if I don't buy all these Apple products. It's a vicious cycle. Because my tax guy goes, well, you buy a lot of Apple products, so that kind of keeps your tax bill down because you write it off. And I go, well, yeah. And he goes, but the day you stop buying all these products, you're going to probably have more of a bigger tax bill. And I went, well, I don't know what to do. And so I don't know. Not that I make a lot of money, I don't. But I mean, taxes. It's all taxes. Anyway, but talking about current affairs and all the current stuff, and sometimes it just seems like it's like you're going down a rabbit hole. All you're doing is you're just, I hate to say it, but a lot of the YouTube channels that I watch, and they're good, they're very good, but they kind of, okay. They give you, some of them give you really good information. I watch a lot of Catholic videos, not cat videos, Catholic videos. I do like cat videos though. There are, that's a lot of fun too. But anyway, and yes, for those of you who are people that are watching in there, you're Catholics like me, God bless you, there's a lot of problems in the church right now, and I could spend, if you want to know what I think about that, go to my other channel. I usually am always kind of focusing on some of those issues and debating them and talking about them and stuff. But, and again, some of these YouTubers that I watch, they're good people, but they're bread and butter. They actually do, see, that's the thing. You have to be honest a little bit, that they make this is their livelihood. They have to make these videos because it's not just like me. I make these videos because it's fun. It's a little creative outlet, and a few of you watch, and that's all great. It's all, I don't make a single dime or penny or dollar or Bitcoin or anything on these videos. They're all just, it's just something I do because it's just something I'd like to do. But there are people that actually make their living making YouTube videos. Perique. Gotta love it. The only thing about being a pipe smoker is you don't get a chance to really enjoy the room note. So I don't know what the room note is really on this one. But this is more of a, oh no, I'm going to get some more lighter fluid. Okay, that's dead. Backup time. Always have a backup. And if that fails, that's why God made wooden matches. Yeah. But people, these people make their living doing this. And so sometimes it does seem like, it's always negative. Now, there are a lot of negative things that are going on in our church. I don't deny that one bit. But there comes a point where you just say, okay, enough's enough. I'm aware of this. I can't do anything about it. I pray and hope that, that through the intercession of the Blessed Mother and, Holy Spirit, that, we'll get through these troubled waters. But it's like, it's like the nation, most of you know, I'm not a big fan of the current regime. I guess I'll leave it at that. And there's nothing I can do about that. All I can do is what I do on my daily basis with this little sphere that God's given me, this little slice of the pie of life that God's given me, and I have to be responsible for that. So, so one last thing I'll talk about tonight. Again, it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about the current and how that seems to be the soup du jour. It's the immediate, what's going on now in this person's life, it's like current events we're like current events addicted. And about a couple months ago, I started looking, watching old documentaries and movies that I used to love. Instead of being all paranoid and going, well, I might be missing some information that might help me, that I need to know now. I kind of said, well, maybe I can unplug from some of this from time to time and not be so sucked into the current event thing. And so it gave me some permission to just kind of go back to some older things that I used to love to do, and because I found a lot of personal edification by watching maybe it was an older film, maybe it was an older documentary, or things that are more historical that I that I like to watch. And so today I had a very interesting experience where I had a chance to kind of challenge my perception of things. And when I was a young guy, back in the 70s, I was like, 18, 19, something like that. Yeah. And we were going through the Watergate thing. And so there was this movie that I'd never seen before about Richard Nixon. It wasn't the one with Sir Anthony Hopkins, the one just called Nixon, which is an okay movie. But this was a guy, his name is Lane Smith. I think his name was Lane Smith. And probably not many people have ever heard of him. I mean, the only thing is, though, he always played these very interesting characters. And he played a reporter. If you've ever seen From the Earth to the Moon, that TV series, it's an HBO series, and it's on there now. You can find it and watch it. A really good series about the Apollo program. And I've always been a space nut. I've always been a nut, period, but I've always been a space nut. And he played this TV reporter guy. Now, the very first time I saw this, I almost, because sometimes they would splice in the old, actual old footage. They would even show, what's his name, Jules Bergman. They actually showed him a couple of times in real life, and doing reporting. And so when this guy, he's called Emmett Seaborn. And I guess he was kind of supposed to be like Walter Cronkite type of a guy. And the weird thing was, I thought, well, yeah, I remember that guy when I was growing up. Well, no, he's not a real person. He was a fictional person, but he really makes an impression as a reporter, Anyway, this guy, I never saw this movie before. It was made in 1989. It was called Final Days, and it's about Richard Nixon, good old Richard Milhouse Nixon. And the guy captured, Nixon to a T. He even looked like him. I mean, really looked like him. I mean, Anthony Hopkins, they did the best they could, but Nixon had that long, skinny ski ramp nose, if you know what I'm talking about. And Anthony Hopkins has a little bulbous nose, so that was one of the things that they tried to make him look like Nixon, but they didn't really succeed. Now, to his credit, because of his fine acting, he did halfway through the movie kind of morph into, you kind of really kind of got a sense that you were watching Nixon. Okay, so again, that's a tribute to a really great actor. But this guy is a good actor, and he really looked like Nixon. He talks like Nixon. And but here's the thing. I remember being a young guy. I was probably 18 or 19 at the time. Well, actually, I was like 17. And when Nixon stepped down in 74. And I just remember that, Nixon was really vilified. He was just absolutely this, tricky dick and, crooked Nixon and all that stuff. And, and I just remember being kind of, if you will, just kind of swayed by the negative media coverage about this president. And the reality was that Nixon did some fantastic things on the international level. He basically reached out to China and Russia, and he kind of started to de-escalate the tensions. I was watching another documentary about Nixon and Kissinger and the work that they did together, and how he basically kind of toned down the Cold War. In many ways, kind of began the thawing of the Cold War. And this one commentator said, though it was kind of a little scary, he said, well, everybody kind of accepted the fact that eventually it was all going to end in a nuclear war. Now, I remember being alive at that time, and I remember thinking, well, certainly nobody wants nuclear war. And we were, but apparently there were some people who had resigned themselves to the fact that, oh yeah, it's going to happen eventually. We're going to have this nuclear exchange and go through the nuclear winter and that kind of horrible stuff. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that's wow. If you're going to resign yourself to that reality, oh, that's a pretty scary reality. And so, but because of President Nixon, we did have kind of a, I don't want to say, but maybe some people, well, all you did was put a pause on it. Well, I don't know. Of course, right now, China's a really big, scary thing because they're going to try to bury us financially and economically if they can. But anyway, I'm just saying that President Nixon really was a great statesman. Now, again, a lot of people hate Nixon, and it's almost, some of you, this should sound really familiar, it's a lot like what they did with President Trump. If the liberal media doesn't like somebody, they attack them and they destroy them. What did Nixon do? I mean, okay, he knew about the break-in, the bugging, and again, the thing that I thought was kind of interesting is that they kind of highlighted his personal problems of he had a lot of personal demons. He was a hard-working guy because he always felt like he was kind of the disadvantaged poor boy, and for some reason he let that get to him. Now I think there's a lot of truth to that. And nowadays, I mean, he should have. Well, of course, Clinton came later, but he should have kind of done what a lot of these guys do, and they just write it off. They ignore it. It's like, oh, you want to talk about my problems here and here? Well, I'm not going to talk about that, And I just think that Nixon was his own worst enemy, if anything. But I do think that the media really fueled a lot of this negativity about President Nixon, just like they did with President Trump. And they know that if they can kind of keep punching at your weak points, they eventually think that they can win. And maybe they do to some extent. I don't know. But I just think that when I look back on it now, I remember being, oh yeah, Nixon's a crook. Oh, Nixon's bad. He's horrible. Rah, rah. And I'm thinking, why did I think that way? Why did I think that way? Because I was influenced by the media. If you stop and you look at what the person did, now somebody said, oh, well, he did this horrible thing to the Democratic National Committee. Well, that's nothing today. That's nothing. That's a misdemeanor. So what? He knew about the bugging or whatever. He knew about it. Maybe he even authorized it or maybe whatever. But, he didn't gas, thousands of people with sarin gas. He didn't invade any countries. He tried to bring the Vietnam War to a close. Now, granted, he was the old school kind of guy that thought, carry a big stick and use the damn thing. Well, and again, I guess eventually he finally did get the North Vietnamese to the negotiating table, but but at least he was trying to make some positive inroads for this country. And unfortunately, because the press focused on his personal, weaknesses, that he was overly, he was extremely painfully aware of his upbringing, his poverty, and he let that bother him. He let that bother him. And I think a lot of politicians nowadays, they don't let that stuff get to them. You can't. You just can't do it. Now, Trump, I think, was a good example. They tried every which way to bring discredit on him, and he just ignored it. In fact, he would try to turn it into a positive thing for him. So I just think that, you look at this whole thing and you say, well, objectively, President Nixon was a good president. Okay, I can say that. I know some people even today would say, "Oh, he was a crook, blah blah blah, blah. He was a bad guy." Well, maybe if that's your opinion, but on the objective facts, the man was a statesman. He really was, and I think it's sad that he allowed some of those personal things to bother him. He could have just said, "Hey, so what if I came from a poor home? So what if my dad was a grocer and he wasn't a very successful one? So what? So what? That doesn't matter. It matters what you do." I have a dear friend, and they say, what my parents did to me, yeah, shame on them. But how I react to it, shame on me if I let it affect me. And so, he should have just let all that go. I mean, it's easier said than done. I know. Some of you out there, you struggle with maybe a bad past or whatever, and it haunts you, and it nags you maybe, and you got these monkeys on your back from maybe your past or whatever. You just got to let them go. That's kind of what you learn in AA and 12-step recovery stuff, is that you can't change your past. You have to own it. But you can learn from it, and it'll make you a better person. And for some reason, he was really crippled by those negative things in his past life, and he carried it into his political life. And it's kind of funny because when you look at the film of President Nixon and him going to China and Russia, and he could project a positive persona. And I think that, he should have learned, too bad Donald Trump wasn't around, because Trump could have taught him a few things too. It's like, hey, don't let the media don't let them define you. You define you. Yeah, you define you. And I see that in my own life. I see that in other people's lives. And the people that are successful don't let others define who they are. You define who you are. And, if you have skeletons in your closet, or you got failure. See, I think he was really afraid of failure. That poor guy, he was dogged from the very beginning for fear of failure. Whether he didn't get his mother's love, or his dad was his dad was, his dad, and I'm not making excuses for bad dads, but a lot of dads just, what they did was they brought home a paycheck. Now, what they did afterwards, maybe they weren't emotionally, available to the kids, maybe, or maybe they were a little hard. Even, a lot of times people talk about how mean and strict the dad was. Well, maybe that's not such a bad thing. You kind of realize, if you're going to step out of line, you're gonna have to answer to the old man. And that might have kind of kept you on the straight and narrow, going, go out with my friends and drink some beer, and if I get in trouble, my dad's gonna beat the crap out of me. And again, I'm not making excuses, and I'm not condoning, But sometimes that little bit of fear of what dad's going to do is going to maybe keep you on the straight and narrow. Anyway, I just can't think that, and then you might say, well, what's all this all about anyway? You know, what is it? What's the point? And well, the point is that, you know, you have to be, you can't let current, you know, events and you know, lock you into things. You know, you got to learn from your history. We all have to learn from our history. And you know, I think what I'm seeing right now is that everybody's just addicted to, you know, the new and improved. The what's going on today. I got to know what's happening now. And I think it's kind of nice to maybe unplug a little bit from current stuff and not worry so much about it, because you can't change it. And, you know, a lot of it after a while is sort of like, you know, I hate to say it, it was like 9/11. I remember, you know, 9/11, it was just this ongoing, you know, they kept replaying the same videos, whether it's the towers coming down or, you know, people covered in dust and, you know, they're running away from dark, big clouds, and, you know, they kept playing those videos over and over and over and over again. People were trying to like figure out, well, what's going on, and I need to get this information now, and then they kind of kept you hooked. You know, again, just like I said about certain YouTubers, you know, they make their bread and butter by focusing on negative things. And I'm not saying the negative things don't exist and they're not important. They are, but again, it gets to a point of saturation, and it's like, okay, I'm done with this. There's not a whole lot I can do. But it's like a drug. It's like a drug, and they kind of keep you addicted to the current. What's going on now? And sometimes you have to unplug from that and give yourself permission to do it, and say, well, there are other things in life that are important, that are meaningful, and I can learn from those things. And so that's kind of where I'm at tonight. I was just sitting there, you know, when you think about, you know, the history that I lived through seems to be, I don't want to say it's being erased, but it sure is being forgotten real quick. And people are just kind of, they don't understand history. And I think the old saying is, again, and I said it earlier in the video, if you don't learn from your history, you're bound to repeat it. It looks like we're doing that. So many young people have no concept, none whatsoever. They think that, you know, that the old system here of America is bad and evil, and we have to get rid of it and all that stuff. It's like, no. It's just like your family. Your families aren't perfect, but you can learn from them. You can own them. You say, this is my family, good or bad, warts and all. And, you know, it helps define who we are. And sometimes even those negative things, you can turn them into a positive thing. So, but you won't know that if you don't know the history. So it's important that you know the history. And I'm grateful that there are people out there, there are good people out there. They're not perfect, like Dr. Jordan Peterson, who I think has awakened a lot of young people, thanks be to God, to the works of Alexander Solzhenitsyn and the dangers of socialism and communism. And when they kind of get a taste of that, they kind of like, it's hard for them to swallow, and it's hard for them then to go back and try to defend the allure that a lot of young people have with communism nowadays. You know, they think it's this wonderful thing that's going to bring this wonderful utopia and everything's going to be great. Well, no, it's not. In fact, if you look at what's going on in places like Oregon and Washington and Minneapolis and other places, you know, it's like, this is the fruit. Look at the fruit that's being produced from this negative stuff. Is that what you really want? You want anarchy in the streets? You want this ugly divisiveness that's going on? Do you really want that? See, if you go back and you look at your history and you learn from it and you accept it for what it is, don't let the media try and tell you, oh, this person's bad. Well, this person was a horrible president, or this person's a horrible person. You gotta really know the facts. And yeah, I'm not saying that it was perfect. I'm not saying the people were perfect, but you have to look at it objectively. And I think that makes the difference. That really makes the difference. Well, okay.
Call Out of This World.
Well, I just want to say thanks to all of you for watching tonight. Gonna light this nice pipe here. Gotta say, there's no tongue bite. The bowl didn't get hot at all. You can always tell a good pipe by its thermal, its thermal signature. That's a little computer talk there. Its thermal signature. How it displaces the heat. This has been room temperature since I've been puffing on it. Hasn't gotten overheated at all. I don't think I heard the fans go on. Nope, no fans, you know. Fans haven't kicked in yet. So, Old Holy Smoking Pie Padre saying thanks for watching, and light up your world and light up your pipe, and have a nice evening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Take care.